Hi everyone, it's Andrea and we are here today in the sewing studio and we're actually going to be sewing. Yay! So I have another video for you in my handmade gift and holiday decor series. I actually really love this. I think this will make a lovely gift for people you love and people you hardly know at all because everybody uses tissues. It is a custom holiday tissue box holder, and you could craft this in someone's favorite colors or you could craft it from holiday fabric. So the way it works is, whoops, my tissues are caught in there. It's very effective. There is a little opening in the top here and the bottom is open, and we have cut out our fabric and backed that with fusible fleece so it has a little bit of body, and then that just fits right over the tissue box, and you can reach in there and pull your tissues up, and it just adds a touch of whimsy and beauty to any corner where you put your tissues. So you don't need much fabric for this, and it comes together in a jiffy. I will show you step by step in this video how to sew this tissue box cover. If you enjoy this project, please do give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. Shall we get started? Okay, so for this project, I am working with a darling vintage holiday print. And I found this at my local quilt shop, and it is called Woodland Holiday, and it is by Katie Tanis, and that is produced by Free Spirit, and the name of the print is Vintage Ornaments. So the first thing you're going to want to do is cut out your 4 side panels, which measure 6 by 5.5 inches, and then you are going to have 2 top panels which we are going to fold, and those are also 6 by 5.5 inches. So in total you're going to need 6 cuts of quilt weight cotton that measure 6 inches tall by 5.5 inches wide, and you're going to need to back 4 of those with lightweight fusible fleece, and then the 2 pieces that we are going to fold in half will be folded in half so that they are then 3 by 5.5 inches, and you are going to take a 3 by 5.5 inch piece of the fusible fleece and sandwich it in between the fold there. So you can see I have the fusible fleece on just one side of that. All right, so in total you have 6 pattern pieces, and it is designed to hold one of the Target brand of tissue boxes, and these tissues are 8.5 inches by 8.5 inches, but the actual box, the tissue box, is 4.5 inches by 5 inches. All right, we're going to be using a 1/4 inch seam allowance for this project. I am sewing on my Juki TL2000QI. I have a 9014 needle in there. I'm working with my Aurifil quilting thread. I believe that's a 50 weight. And that's it. We're going to get started. So the first thing we want to do is take the piece that we folded and pressed in half, and we want to position the raw edges of that along the top edge of 2 of those body panels. Okay, so this is a 5.5 inch spans here, and I have my raw edges aligned with that, and I'm going to stitch across that top edge using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. My stitch length is going to be 2.5, and I will back stitch to reinforce at the beginning and the end. And then I want to take those raw edges and press them down, and I'm going to top stitch right across there so that those seams lay nice and flat. And that's the front there, and that's the back. I'm going to repeat that with the second panel. And then I am going to bring over a third panel, and I'm going to position that right sides facing on top of one of the panels that I have the folded top on, and I'm going to stitch from the bottom of that until I am a 1/4 inch from the top. So I'm going to stop top stitching as soon as I reach that seam, all right? Not where we added the top stitching, but the actual seam where these two panels connect. And it doesn't really matter if you start at the top or the bottom, just make sure that you do not pass over that seam. And you should definitely back stitch to reinforce. Stick with that 1/4 inch seam allowance. And so right at the top here, you have the difference in the seam allowance, all right? Okay, so after you have your second side panel attached to that first panel with the top, then you're going to take your third side panel and position that right sides facing, aligning with the right hand edge of this. And you're going to stitch from that joining seam to the base. So you can see you have attached 2 of the side panels to one of those panels with the 2 parts on that. And then you're going to take the remaining panel with the 2 parts and position that along that right hand panel. Line up those sides, and again, you're just stitching from that joining seam to the base. So now you should have your little rooftops there on every other panel. You can go ahead and press the seams. These ones are falling naturally inward, so that's fine. Just go ahead and give them a good press. And this is what it looks like on the back. Now I'm going to go ahead and line up those sides so I can create a loop there. And again, I'm just stitching from that joining seam to the bottom. And now you can see our boxy tissue cover really starting to take its form. The next step is to fold in these tops here, and you're just going to work one side at a time, and you're going to line up those sides and stitch from that seam to the edge. And then you'll lay down the opposite edge there. Just work one side at a time. So you're turning that around to attach that side there, and you just put your hand inside and line up that edge, and you're stitching from the top of that folded edge to the seam. And so I have half of the roof installed there, and now I want to fold over the opposite side there, line that up, and stitch from the fold all the way to the seam. And then the last side should line up nice for you. And again, stitching from that joining seam to the fold. Okay, And now if you looked inside, it would appear as if you have a nice cube there or a basket. So the bottom though is overlapping, kind of like a pillowcase. So there's a little hole, and that's where the tissues are going to come through. So before we turn this around, what we want to do is hem it. So you are going to fold up that edge about 1/4 inch, and you could do a little mini test fit with this still turned inside out. Make sure you're getting a good height for your tissue box there. And this is nice. So lining up the right hand edge of my presser foot with that folded edge of the hem, and I'm going to stitch all the way around the perimeter. Okay, I've made it all the way around. I just want to trim up the loose threads there, and then I can go ahead and turn my tissue cover right side out and poke out those corners. And this fabric is really darling. If you need to, you can give this a good press. Mine is looking pretty good. Okay, so I like to finger press those seams or the corners there. There we go. And then I can take this kind of bland, generic tissue box and place my tissue box cover right on top there. And then I'll just open up that fabric there and feed my tissue right through the top, and voila, I have a darling tissue box cover that is also holiday decor, and I think would make a really thoughtful holiday gift. I hope you are enjoying my ongoing series here at Sewspire. Now through the end of the year, once a week, I will be coming to you with another video that is focused on handmade gifts and holiday decor. I have a playlist going if you are just now hearing of this, so you can catch up. And I will be looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, as always, please know the creative genius in me will be celebrating the creative genius in you. Thank you for sewing with me today, and I hope you have an awesome week, everyone.